Why buy Bitcoin right now? If you don't watch the rest of this video, guys, you're gonna regret it. I don't know how to say this in a nice way. If you do not watch this entire video, you're gonna look back on this moment and think, wow, I really could have learned about Bitcoin. I really could have learned the most important time in the history of the world to know about this little word right here, Bitcoin. You're gonna learn everything you need to know in this one video. I'm very, very serious. I've got an incredible video planned for you. I'm starting something new on this channel, guys. I'm going to go deep into these concepts. So on this video, we're gonna talk about why buy Bitcoin right now. Okay, like this is urgent. This is right now. Everyone always says urgent. I spent an hour and a half putting this together for you. So please, please, please watch till the end. We're gonna talk about the core values, the core reasons why Bitcoin is so important right now. I can't even describe. I hope you can see the energy in my face. Can you see my hand shaking? It is very important that you understand why you would invest in Bitcoin right now and why I am investing, okay? We're gonna talk about the current events that have led us to this moment that is different than any other moment in history. This is it. This is the time to focus in, guys. You gotta watch this one video. We're gonna talk about what is priced in. We're gonna talk about what the market is saying is going to happen and what would happen if what people are saying is going to happen does not happen. That is where your opportunity lies, right? Because if what happens is what everyone says is going to happen, no one makes any money. But if something different happens, that's when you can make money. Does that make sense? You gotta stay for number 3. And then number 4, we're gonna have a March 2020 moment again. Remember when the whole world changed? Remember when something happened that no one thought could happen? Remember when it all shut down? I'm not talking about shutdowns, I'm not talking about any of that crap. What I'm talking about here is a moment where the entire world has a boop light bulb moment at the same exact time. Do you want to be on the good side of that light bulb moment? On the side that you benefit and you help your family? Well, then you need to watch this video, okay? This is very serious. Let's keep going. First and foremost, allow me to reintroduce myself. Many of you guys have been watching this channel for a long time. I'm determined to get this channel absolutely rocking and rolling. And so I'm going to provide you so much effing value on this screen. And the only thing that I ask you to do in return is to smash the like button and share this with one person. But let me just reintroduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. Hopefully you're watching this. I went all in on Bitcoin in March 2020, okay? All in. I read some books. I learned about Bitcoin. I learned the concepts that I'm about to teach you in this video in March 2020. I became a Bitcoin maximalist. It was absolutely totally 100% Bitcoin. I used to make fun of people that traded altcoins. I used to say that you guys are idiots. Like Bitcoin is the only way to go. Okay, I actually used some leverage. I leveraged up my position. I put all of my money in. I sold my car. I sold everything that I had. I put it onto Bitcoin and I used leverage and I rode this bad boy up. So this was me. Okay, let's just visualize this. Back in 2020, okay, COVID is down here. If you can see this on the chart, this was me. I bought in right here with Bitcoin. I used leverage and I rode this mother effer all the way up to here. Leverage, okay? All the way up. I had so much money up here, I can't even describe to you how much money I had right here, okay? We're talking millions, multi-millions, multi-millions of dollars. I had put in all of my savings, all of the money I had made from running very successful multi-million dollar businesses down here. I sold my Tesla. I put everything into Bitcoin here. And I wrote it up to here, plus I used leverage, okay? So think about how much money I had. I had a lot of money up here. But guess what? Your boy was greedy. Your boy made mistakes, just like everyone else. So let's go back to introducing myself. Elon starts tweeting, right? Elon starts saying, oh, it's not good for the environment, whatever. I got liquidated. We went down. When you use leverage, there's always the opposite side of leverage, right? I got liquidated right here. We went down on this move right here. I got liquidated. Absolutely one of the worst days of my entire life, okay? I lost pretty much everything. I actually levered it up again to try to get myself out. And during the summer of 2021, I have never been more stressed out. I have never been more panicked. I almost lost my house. Right here, on this moment right here, you guys see this last tick? Bitcoin hit $28,800, okay? If it would have hit $28,700, I would have lost my house. I would have lost everything I owned, okay? Thank God it did not. And it went back up to here. Oops, excuse me. It went back up to right here. And this is where I sold all of my Bitcoin right here. And I said, screw it. I'm out of the leverage game. I'm done with this shit. Bitcoin sucks. It's horrible. And just bear with me, guys. I'm telling you this story so that you can understand. I'm about to share with you So much information, you're going to lose your mind. Okay, you're going to lose your mind. This is the only video you need to watch, but I want to show you where I'm coming from so you know that I've been through this with you, okay? So right here, I sold all my Bitcoin, right? And I said, F the Bitcoin maximalists. F them, they're idiots. They're idiots. So I went all in on altcoins. I was like, I have to make this money back. I just lost everything. I had millions, I lost it all. And so I went all in on altcoins. Okay, this was way before I started the YouTube channel, by the way. I only started the YouTube channel because people kept asking me what I was doing. And basically, I was just going all in on altcoins because I knew that the market was going to go back up and I was willing to gamble to make it back. So I went all in on altcoins right here. And I rode those altcoins all the way back up to the top again, up here again. And you would think after learning my lesson, after making millions twice in a year, losing it all, that I would have learned my lesson. But no, of course not. I'm a human just like you guys. And just like you guys, I thought we were going to $200,000 Bitcoin. We did not go there. In fact, I rode this all the way back down. I sold a few coins on the way up. Like a few, like not a lot. I definitely should have sold a lot more. And I ended up selling on this bump right here, $50,000 Bitcoin, which has been well documented. I ended up getting out of the market there. So I lost all of these profits here. Okay, and so it just keeps happening. I keep losing money. I keep getting pissed off, whatever. It's just crazy times, right? Then I lost millions of dollars on Luna, just like everybody else. And here we are in a recession and a depression. And now I am thinking about returning to my maximalism ways. I'm thinking about going back to my Bitcoin maximum ways. So why do I tell you this big sob story? Why do I tell you all this stuff that has happened to me? First of all, just to show you guys that I'm a normal person just like you. I have experienced the ups and downs of this effing market just like you. Do you see this chart? I have been all over this chart. I've lost money here. I've lost money here. I've lost money here. I've been here. I've been in the grind with you. I've been making mistakes the entire way through. And what I have learned over this time is what is about to be laid out to you in this slideshow that is not, this is unlike any other video I've ever seen on YouTube, okay? This is going to change your life. I'm going to lay out the case for Bitcoin. I'm going to lay out all the mistakes that we've all made, and we're going to arrive at a conclusion that is going to make us all extremely, extremely wealthy because we're going to be a lot smarter this time around. Does that make sense? I just want to show you that to let you know that I'm a real human, whatever. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that. Let's get this thing popping, okay? And share this with someone who needs this. Let's go through it. Number one, why Bitcoin right now? Here's the core principles. Here's what we have all forgotten when we got into all of our shit coins last year, when we all got greedy, when the money printer was going crazy. Here's the core principles that got us into crypto in the first place, that should have got you into crypto in the first place. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why Bitcoin matters, because it does matter. And we cannot forget why it matters. I'm getting passionate because I truly believe in this stuff. Isn't it funny that all of the reasons that I got into Bitcoin are coming true right now? Isn't it funny that we went through this entire pain, up and down, up and down, up and down, and now it's all coming to a head. It's all coming to a conclusion right here. Let's go through it. Here's all the reasons that Bitcoin matters. I'm going to go through these fast. A lot of you guys know these, but if you don't, you have to share this with people that don't understand. I talked to someone yesterday. They still don't understand why Bitcoin is valuable. How can you invest in something when you don't know what actually makes it valuable? This is what makes Bitcoin valuable. 21 million. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Actually, there's never even going to be 21 million. There's a bunch that have been lost. There are a bunch that have been lost. There's a bunch that have never going to be recovered. So there's actually less than 21 million. And the value here is scarcity, guys. There is something in this life, it's called Bitcoin, that you can't create more of, okay? You can't pull more gold out of the ground. You can't go mine more oil. You can't go to the money printer and go burr. We'll talk about that a lot later. The scarcity aspect of Bitcoin is the number one thing that drew me to Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, you've seen things that are scarce, right? There's only 100 Ferraris. How much are those Ferraris priced, right? There's only 100 pieces of toilet paper left in the world. How much would you pay for those pieces of toilet paper, right? There are certain things that pretty much everything, if it is scarce, it is valuable. We have seen that throughout history. That is the truth about life, and that is Bitcoin's number one core value. It is scarce. Number two, they're never making any more of this. We've already talked about this. Bitcoin's hard cap of 21 million cannot be changed. And I can go through the nitty gritty. I would encourage you to research this for yourself, but it is built into the code base, and it is lined up with the proof of work concept that I will talk about in a second. That makes it impossible, in my opinion, to get this 21 million cap to be changed. It's not like they can just print more Bitcoin. That is never going to happen. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. I am convinced of that. I've done all the research. You can just trust me on that, or you can go do some deeper research, because that's like a whole 20-minute video by itself. I don't want to talk about that. They're never making any more. Here's another big concept. There's no CEO, okay? There's no CEO of Bitcoin. Who is the mysterious Bitcoin creator, Satoshi Nakamoto? Nobody knows. Oh man, how beautiful is that? How great is that? Imagine not having the risk of a CEO in this equation. And you're probably thinking, why is it risky to have a CEO? Why is it risky to have, well, what about Do Kwon? Remember when Do Kwon was the CEO of Luna? Remember when Do Kwon was in charge and calling people poor and everything on Twitter? And then he wiped $60 billion off the planet, more like $200 billion off the planet when his coin collapsed. What about this guy, Vitalik, right here? What about, I don't want your offers. What about this? What about Vitalik Buterin? This guy is the face of Ethereum. What happens if this guy gets hit by a bus? You ever thought about that? What happens if this weird dude right here gets just decides that he hates Ethereum and he wants to talk trash about it on Twitter, which could easily happen. You have a risk of crazy people like this. I mean, look at this guy. Look at him. This is who we're going to trust with our life. This guy, Do Kwon, who ripped we're going to trust this guy with billions and billions of dollars? No. Thank God that Bitcoin doesn't have that, okay? And we have seen the consequences of relying on people too much in this cycle. We have seen it with our own eyes. We have seen a top 10 crypto, freaking Luna, go to zero. And that is not okay, okay? And so I'm so glad that Bitcoin doesn't have it. It's unbreakable, it's unhackable, guys. Bitcoin is not something that you can just get into and hack. You can't even whatever. Okay, these are the ones that I want to focus on here that really got me into investing in Bitcoin. It's because it is gold. You got to think of it as gold, okay? It's gold, but it's on the internet, right? That is the thesis. That is why many of us have gotten into Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, it makes sense. You have a money printer that has gone insane. You have a government that everyone knows is printing money out of nowhere. There is no effort. They just click a keyboard and they make fake money. And when you just think about this logically in your head, you understand that throughout history, this has happened before. And what do people do when governments print money? They buy gold, right? Because gold, you can't make more of. I mean, you can dig it out of the ground. You could find more of it. But that being that, gold, it has scarcity to it. It has value to it. People believe in it. People think it will hold its value long term. And Bitcoin is the same. Okay, except it's on the internet. It's even better. You can't make more of it, but also you can send it to someone in Romania in 5 seconds, and they can know for sure that they have got it. They can have instant settlement, hardcore settlement. They don't have to go to the gold shop and figure out like, is this real gold? No, it settles onto your hardware wallet. You know instantly that it's gold. It's been verified. It goes through the algorithm. Like this is solid, man. There is value to having gold on the internet. That is something that the world needs, in my opinion, desperately, particularly in this environment of money printing. If you agree, you should be watching the rest of this video. I've got a lot more for you. Proof of work. Proof of work underpins this, right? Because proof of work is the Bitcoin mining concept, okay? It's hold on, let me show you the Bitcoin miners. This is Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining means that you have to use energy, you have to use effort, you have to get all these machines, you have to literally mine Bitcoin. If you don't understand that concept, that's okay. For the purposes of this video, think about it like this. There is one way to make money, and it is this way. It is called printing money out of thin air, clicking a button. We all know that this is unsustainable. We all know that this is fake. We all know that this will lead to disaster. Have you ever heard the saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is? Well, that's this on your screen right here. It's too good to be true, buddy. You can't just print money and solve your problems. You actually have to do some work. It's like going to work. It's like going to work, not sitting at your desk all day and doing nothing and expecting a paycheck. I know a lot of you guys do that right now. I know that's kind of the culture of the world right now. But at the end of the day, will that produce a productive society? Will that get us where we need to go? Absolutely not. That is not the way of the world. That is not what we have been taught since we were 2 years old. You have to do work in order to gain money. And that is what Bitcoin has underpinning it. It is called Bitcoin mining. It requires a lot of effort and work to actually keep the network safe and to actually keep it running and keep it going. Okay, and that is key. That underpins the whole thing. You have gold. It takes a lot of work to take gold out of the ground. That's what makes gold great. And we have that concept with Bitcoin as well. It's even actually more. It's even better. I could get all into the weeds, but just know that the combination of scarcity and proof of work, having to do work in order to produce goods, is essential. This is something that you need to understand about Bitcoin, okay? Now, the last thing that makes Bitcoin the investment of the century, obviously, is the rabid, insane, borderline religious community. Bitcoin wouldn't be anything if you didn't have people behind it, right? Bitcoin is a great idea. Gold is a great idea. All of these concepts, money in general, is just belief. I believe that $1 is worth $1. I believe that gold has value. I believe that Bitcoin has value. Why do we believe such things? Because of the community, because of other people believing it, right? That's the end of the day. That's what it is. And so it reminded me, the reason I got into it in the beginning, it reminded me of Apple. There are these fanatic people that love Apple. You ever got into a debate with someone over iPhone versus Android? It turns into like a fist fight. People are like, oh my gosh, you like Android? F you, I hate your kids and I want to punch your kid. I want to punch you in the face, right? Like, what? People get so crazy about these things because they are loyal, almost borderline religious fans of Apple. Same thing with Bitcoin. You need those fanatics. You need these maximalists. You need people like, I guess it's going to be me again. I don't know. You need Bitcoin maximalists who are willing to stand up and fight to the death for this protocol, because that's the only way that stuff makes it. That's the only way that products and it's competitive out there in the world. Newsflash, there are other cryptocurrencies, right? And you need a community that is willing to stand up and say, look, dude, all this bullshit with Vitalik and with Do Kwon and all this stuff is not the right way. The right way is scarcity, proof of work, Bitcoin. Okay? And so that's what drew me to Bitcoin in the first place. And that is the core fundamentals that you need to understand. If you enjoyed that and you haven't smashed the like button yet, please do it, because I have 3 more. I'm telling you, this is the most detailed video about Bitcoin on the internet right now. So if you're enjoying this, please I worked hard on this. Smash the like button for the love of God and share this with someone who needs it, because I want people to know this before it blows up. The bubble is going to pop at some point, okay? Let's talk about why that is right now. Why Bitcoin right now? Here's the current events that are happening. And this is why the hairs on my arm stand up. This is why I spend 2 hours putting together this detailed slideshow for you and yell at the screen, even when I'm not going to make any money off this. Nothing is going to happen for me. I'm just trying to get the word out to you, okay? Current events are lining up for a Bitcoin to $100,000 thing. Bitcoin to $1 million. Bitcoin to wherever the hell you want it to go thing. If you want to know why, here we go. Everything in the world is screaming Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. People just aren't hearing it, okay? This is how you make money. When you see something before the world sees it. So here's what we're seeing. Number 1, money printing. Here's the M2 money supply. This is the money printing of the United States government going all the way back to 1980. You guys notice something? You guys notice a trend? It kind of goes up. It kind of seems like they're printing a lot of money. Look at this over the past 5 years. Look at this. Trillions and trillions. Since January of 2020, they have printed over 6 trillion. Look at this. These are trillions. $6 trillion of money created out of thin air. This goes back to what I said. If you're not going to work for things are going to break. And we're going to see some of the consequences of this. When you don't work for your money, things break. We're going to keep going through this. Okay. I'm getting excited. Because they printed $6 trillion, what happened? We had a bull run of all bull runs. This is the stock market right here. This is COVID right here in 2020. Look what happened. This is called artificial money printing to the moon. That's what happened. Look at that line. Look at that line, straight up and to the right. We crashed because of COVID. They printed unlimited money here, and we went straight up. That's all it is. It's very, very simple. The Bitcoin chart looks similar, just more volatile. But I mean, it's honestly funny to look at. Look at how funny this chart is. Like, this is ridiculous. This is the stock market chart, straight up and to the right. It's artificial. It's all insane. So we had that run. Okay, then what? The greed started to spill over. When you get to the top of a bull run, when you get to the top of something, people start doing crazy things. Rocks on the internet start selling for $2 million. Does sound familiar? Pictures of apes start going for $12 million. People start saying that Bitcoin's going to $300,000. You know, the greed starts. I was guilty of it too. People start buying endless amounts of altcoins. All the greed started to spill over from zero. Here, I'll show you. This is insanity. This was even happening last year. This is a December 2020 article. It's saying this is insanity. Startups end the year in a deal frenzy. Investors are tripping over one another to give hot startups money. DoorDash and Airbnb are going public. The good times are back. That's what it was. We were in the good times. For 2 years here, we were in the good times. And the good times was totally 100% artificial. Damn. Sucks to say it, sucks to feel it, sucks to know that it was true, but it was true. That's what happened. We had artificial good times. The greed spilled over. Eventually we reached a peak in greed, and look what happened afterwards. This little thing called Luna. This is the perfect example of greed spilling over. There's many examples. We could talk about Netflix down 100%. We could talk about a million different charts. But this is the most fun one. Look at this. When people wanted unlimited yield, when people wanted 20% interest on their coins, look what happened. Look what happened after the greed spilled over. We went to literal zero and we wiped off about $200 billion off this planet like this in 2 days. This is the perfect example of what happens when greed spills over. When you don't work for something for long enough and the money printer slows down a little bit, that's what happens, okay? So the Fed actually tightened, as I was talking about. The Fed actually is trying to slow down the money printer here. By design, the Fed may be tightening too much. This guy right here is coming out on the stage and he's saying, look guys, inflation is too high. Inflation is bad. Not that he caused it. I mean, he did. He's the one who printed all this money. Remember that, by the way. Every time he's talking, just remember that they printed $6 trillion and caused this inflation. But now, oh, it's someone else's fault. It's Putin's fault. It's a Putin price hike. It's someone's fault. But now they're tightening. They're slowing down the money printer. So I'm just going to go like do this. I do this a lot on videos. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to slow down this money printer right here. That's what they're doing. And guess what's happening to the market? It's weird how this works. It's weird how it's all correlated. But ever since they started to slow down the money printer, this was the exact top for crypto. This was the exact top for stocks. We have been straight down. Same thing on Bitcoin. Okay, I'll show you exactly where we started to slow down the money printer. Ready? I know it's going to be hard to find. Let's see if we can find it on the chart right here. Inflation was too high. We're going to slow down the money printer. Look what happened. It's all artificial. And you're probably thinking, I should buy Bitcoin? It seems like the only reason Bitcoin goes up is because this guy right here prints money. If he doesn't print money, and it doesn't look like he's going to, why would I buy Bitcoin? Hold on for a second. Hold on. I got this whole thing laid out, baby. Stay with me here. So we have the Fed tightening. We're going through this one by one current events, okay? The Fed is tightening. The Fed's pulling liquidity out of the markets. We have the Bank of Japan absolutely blowing up right here. The investors are actually starting to bet that the Bank of Japan is going to default. The Bank of Japan is doing what we're doing, but they've been doing it for 25 years, and they are literally willing to print an unlimited amount of money to keep their yields at a certain rate. I'm getting deep into the weeds here. Let me know in the comments if you want more detailed video on Bank of Japan. Basically, we have a money printer that is about to explode. Their bluff is about to get called. And that is why investors are betting that the Bank of Japan is not going to be able to cap their yields at 25% anymore. Basically what this is, I want to summarize this for all the people that don't understand yield curve control and all that stuff, and I get it, right? You have a normal job, I have a we don't need to understand this. Here's what's about to happen to the Bank of Japan. Ready? I'm going to show you one chart. It's the same thing. It's called Luna. Okay? They were trying to do something artificial, and look what happened to them. The same thing is starting to happen to the Bank of Japan. This is not a small bank. This is not like, oh, a little project, a little Luna. This is the Bank of Japan. And the canary is singing in the coal mine, hello, we're about to collapse. The whole thing's about to collapse. And people are starting to bet on it. So we have that happening. I promise you I'm going to tie this all together. There's a lot happening. Why they cannot actually do it. Okay. So the Fed's saying that we're going to tighten, we're going to slow down this money printer, we're going to basically shut it off. We're going to turn it all the way down. Here's why they can't actually, this is where I'm about to blow your mind, okay? The Federal Reserve, this guy right here is lying to you. He is telling you that they are going to raise interest rates until inflation comes down. But here is why that is physically impossible. Ready? I'm going to show you a couple charts. I got a lot of tabs open. Bear with me. It's called the game of Monopoly. Very, very quickly, here's a summary. Imagine that you are playing Monopoly with you're playing Monopoly, but there's two different boards. Okay? And I stole this from Preston Pish. Preston, thank you. This is one of the best analogies that I've ever heard about how the world works. Okay? Over on this board over here, you have a bunch of people sitting at the board. And over on this board, you have people sitting at the board. Over on this board, you have people sitting at the board. Great. And you have two bankers that can control the money supply. Okay? This bank, let's call this Japan, okay? And this bank, which is the US. Over here in Japan Monopoly, you have a banker that every time they go around Go, he gives them $1,000. You guys ever played Monopoly before? Normally it's 200, okay? So he's putting more money into the system. Well, what are the people in this game going to do? They're going to take that extra money, they're going to go over to this board, and they're going to buy all the properties over here. Then the people in the US are going to be like, what the fuck? What the hell, man? Well, why are they buying all these properties? What's going on here? And then they're going to ask their banker to start printing more money too. So then he'll probably print $1,500. And then they'll go back over here and buy all the property. You see how that works? When it's fake, it's too easy. The easiest way out is just to print the money. So you have all of these banks. You have a currency that is not tied to anything. The currency is just floating around. They can print as much as they want. There is no scarcity. Remember the core principles? There is no scarcity. So they are incentivized to print as much as possible so that they can win the game of Monopoly, so that their citizens are not the ones that are going to get obliterated by the other bank printing the money. Does that make sense? That's what's happening. That's what's happening on the globe. And it's affecting everything, okay? And so we have things in the past which show us what's about to happen. Okay, let me just point this out. This is the U.S. debt. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. $30 trillion. Okay, and so what I'm explaining to you here is why they cannot actually continue to raise rates forever. They cannot. Number one, because the other banks in the world, like I told you with Monopoly, will keep printing. So if we don't keep printing, they'll just keep printing, and we'll all be poor and broke, and it'll all collapse. So that's the number one reason. But then here's another more practical reason here, is the $30 trillion of national debt. And as you can see from this calculator right here, man, I have details in this video. Woo! Are you enjoying this? Look at the interest on this debt. The interest on the debt for the US government, this is like your credit card interest, right? You guys have credit cards, right? If you spend more than you earn, you have to pay interest. And sometimes that interest sucks. Well, we had to pay $305 billion in interest last year. And guess what? We set the interest rate. Imagine that. Imagine you get to call your credit card company and say, hey man, I don't want to pay 18% interest. I would like to pay 2% interest, please. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, man. That's cool. You do that. That's what the US government does. They set the interest rate. So the interest rate last year was 1.4%, which they set. And they had to pay $305 billion in interest just to keep up with their debt. Here's the thing. What this guy wants to do right here is to raise interest rates. That's why the money printer is slowing down. However, if he continues to do that, guess what? The payments on this debt go up. If they get it up to levels that they're talking about, 5%, 6%, 7%, the interest on this will go up by 5x. It will go up by 10x. We're talking about $2 trillion just on the interest payments. Just on the interest payments. So what does that mean? What does that mean? If you have a credit card where the interest is too high and you don't have enough money coming in, what happens when you can't pay for the interest? What happens? You go bankrupt. You go bankrupt. It's the same thing with the United States government. This is why they cannot actually raise rates to where they want to raise them, to where they're going to need to squish inflation. It's impossible. Okay, so when anyone tells you, the Fed don't fight the Fed's slowing it down, he's lying. He is physically lying, and I have proof. They can't afford it. They cannot afford to raise this rate because if they do, they will go bankrupt. Do you think the United States government is going to go bankrupt? Do you think that's number one? You think that's on their list of priorities? Let's go bankrupt today. Absolutely not. They will not go bankrupt. So they cannot actually raise interest rates. So what will they do? The currency is the only way out. And I actually knew this back in March of 2020. I don't know if I made a video about it or whatever, but this is where the light bulb clicks in your head. This is where you think, oh, maybe I should buy Bitcoin, turns into, I need to buy Bitcoin right now. I need to buy Bitcoin right effing now. And here's why. The only way out is the currency. So a perfect example of this happening was in 1934. We had the same exact problem. We had inflation, it was insane. We couldn't print the money, whatever, blah, blah, blah. In early 1934, President Roosevelt confiscated all of the gold in the world. He went to your house, took all your effing gold, and he paid you $20.67 for it, okay, per ounce. Then, once he had all the gold in his possession, what did he do? He raised the price to $35 per ounce. Essentially, what he did is he devalued the dollar, which is pegged to gold, by, 75% here? Okay. So overnight, what he did is the way out of this situation is this. Go back and read about this. It's a very similar situation to what we're in now. The only way out, remember, he cannot actually raise interest rates to get out because they will go bankrupt. The only way out of this situation is to devalue the dollar. It is to devalue the dollar. I'll give you another example. You don't believe me? Okay, well, that's not going to happen. This is not from 1934. This is from 1980. A lot of people like to talk about Paul Volcker. In the 1980s, what did Paul Volcker do? Paul Volcker there was a lot of inflation, just like now. Remember how inflation's so high right now? This guy got it down. How did he do it? He raised interest rates. He slowed down the money printer. He raised interest rates all the way up to 20%. Okay, and that's what this guy is acting like he's going to do right now. I'm going to raise interest rates. Here's the difference though. Here's why he cannot actually do this. This is the federal United States gross federal debt to GDP. That means how much stuff we actually produce versus how much debt that we actually have. Back in 1980, when Paul Volcker was raising interest rates, our debt to GDP was 30%. You see this right here? 30%. What's our debt to GDP right now? 130%. Okay, that's very different. That means that when Paul raised his interest rates back here, he probably only had to pay interest that was somewhere in the small billions. He probably had to pay a little bit more interest because we have so much more debt now and we have so much less productivity. We are unable to do this. Does that make sense? There's too much debt, more debt here, less debt here. Okay, so you cannot raise the interest rates above a certain percentage without the United States government going bankrupt. Okay, are we clear that they cannot do that? They cannot. They cannot raise these interest rates, okay? And the only way out, just like Roosevelt did in 1935, is the currency. They have to devalue the currency because by devaluing the currency, what does that do? Think about it logically, okay? When you have to pay $30 trillion, if you artificially say, hey, $1 is now only worth, $1 is now worth $2, right? Or the other way around, $1 is now worth 50 cents, right? What does that do instantly? That takes this debt down to 15 trillion, right? It's a lot more manageable. Isn't that crazy how that works? If you just devalue your dollar, well, all of a sudden I only have to pay 15 trillion back. That's the only way they're getting out. I'm telling you that right now. You can go through the mental leaps in your head on your own. I don't have time to keep going with this, but this is what is going to happen. This is the facts. And so this is a bubble that could pop at literally any time. I literally put up a picture of a bubble here because we don't know how much pressure they're going to be able to take. We don't know how much pain these politicians are going to be able to take. We have them everyone is calling for a recession. I'll talk about that in a second. We'll keep going there in a second. But we don't know how much these people can take. The stock market crashing, everything crashing, before they just say, you know what, fuck it. Screw it. Let's just devalue the currency. Let's get ourselves out of this situation. Let's go to yield curve control. There's a lot of big words that they want to use called yield curve control, called all these words that basically what I just said, but they will use those words in order to devalue your currency. And when that happens, Bitcoin will go to $100,000, okay? It's scary to not own Bitcoin in this environment. I wish I would have just bought Bitcoin, spot Bitcoin, held it this whole time. Instead of doing all this craziness up and down, up and down, up and down, I wish I would have just bought Bitcoin and do maybe a couple trades a year because it's just so much less stressful. Let's keep going. Are you guys enjoying this? I'm 33 minutes in. This is the most I've ever dedicated to a YouTube video, so please just do me a favor and share it, please, okay? I got more for you, okay? Why Bitcoin now? What's actually priced in, okay? This is again where I've been buying so much Bitcoin in the $20,000 range right here. I've been buying so much Bitcoin right here, guys, because when I think about what's priced in, the risk reward of buying here is so much better than trying to short or trying to sell here. Like the maximum worst thing that could happen, in my opinion, is that we could go to like $10,000 Bitcoin. Maybe we go to here, okay? This is the worst case scenario. This would be sad. I'm gonna put a sad face here, okay? Can you see that? The best case scenario is that this whole bubble pops. I don't want the bubble to pop, but it's going to pop anyway. So what do you want me to say? We go to 100K. So do you see the difference here? This is the worst case scenario. This is the best case scenario. Where's your risk reward there, right? So let me show you that. Let me talk about that more. What is priced in? Currently, the world is pricing in a global depression for 6 to 18 months. What if that doesn't happen? Okay. Everyone is talking about it. Every single headline. A recession is inevitable. Oh my gosh, what's behind all this talk about a recession? Right here he says that the former Federal Reserve Chair said that a recession is inevitable within the next 12 to 18 months. Everyone is saying it. We're in a recession. We're going to be in a depression. We're in a recession. Everything's bad. We're going to die. Everything's going to die. Well, we're already down a massive amount. Like we're already like way down. Like if you can see on this chart, this is the stock market chart. Like ever since they stopped printing money, we've already been through a lot of pain. We've been way down. It's even worse on Bitcoin. Like it's even worse. Look at this. Like ever since they turned off the money printer, look how far down we've gone. And so people calling for a recession, guys, we're already in a recession. We've already had one. Okay, and so people are just betting on like doom and gloom and destruction. But in my opinion, the money can be made by saying, what if that doesn't happen? What if this guy is not Paul Volcker? What if he is unable to print money like I have outlined here in this video? What if he can't? What if he can't actually do what he says he's going to do? What if he can't keep crashing markets, which is my opinion, okay? And here's some of the reasons that he can't do that. Number one, elections in November. There are these political people, I don't know if you've noticed, they live in the White House and they want to get elected. The economic issues are the number one thing. 37% of Americans approve of Biden and what he's doing. And economic issues are the number one issue for this election in November. So you're telling me that if we get all the way to November and the stock market is still crashing and everything is still effed up and inflation is still high, that these people are not going to, that these little wussies are not going to just go ahead and print the money? You're telling me that they're not going to back down? I don't believe that for 1 second. I think that they are going to, at some point, say uncle, and they realize that this situation is not going to be solved by raising interest rates. I'll talk about that in a second too. But they're going to realize that, and then they're going to back down and they're going to print this money again. That's just what I believe. So that's one thing that could happen. Another thing that could happen is a solution in Russia or Ukraine. Everyone's acting like Russia and Ukraine are going to be at war for the rest of forever and that we're never going to get gas from Russia and we're never going to do anything. What if people get so sick and tired of, freaking paying $1 million at the pump and they actually say, let's fix this Biden situation. Let's fix this Russia situation, right? And we actually start, oh my gosh, no, I don't want to hear your little, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear that. What if they actually fix this situation? What if we actually start getting gas from Russia? Doesn't that change the equation? Doesn't that change where Bitcoin heads? What if Bank of Japan actually blows up? People are betting against it. People are betting that Japan is going to blow up. We have global currency wars. So if either of these three things happen, the whole, recession, going into a recession, it's over. It's done. We're going to go back up because they're going to have to print more money if either of these three things happen. Other bankers, maybe they start inflating away. Maybe they start to realize, we are playing Monopoly. We're just going to print the money before everyone else does. That could change the equation. Oh, here's some other things. The Fed just losing its resolve. We're just depending basically on this guy to be Paul Volcker. We're just assuming that this guy right here is going to be this guy. However, he is living, like I've showed many times, in a totally different world than this guy is living in. And maybe at some point, he will realize that he cannot keep doing this because all he's causing is more pain, more suffering, and all of that stuff. So he might just back down of his own volition. And then the last thing is these Democrats, they love stimulus checks, man. They love it. They're already asking for it. They're already saying, hey, please give us a gas stimulus check. Please give us a stimmy. I need a stimmy. And the Gas Rebate Act of 2022 has already been proposed. So that's what I'm saying. These people are wussies. These people don't understand working for anything. I've been talking about this the whole video. They've been wanting to print money the whole time as a solution. They don't understand proof of work. They don't understand all of the reasons that Bitcoin is scarce. They don't understand any of this. They don't want to work. And so when push comes to shove, what do? They fall back on what's easiest. They fall back on pressing a keyboard and printing money. And so, like I said a million times before, the currency is the only exit valve. The currency is going to explode. It's going to devalue, which means that something that has scarcity to it, which is Bitcoin, okay? Where am I? Where are my theses? Something that has scarcity to it will go up in value, okay? So that's the last slide. I'm on the last slide, guys. This is the March 2020 moment again. If you've enjoyed this, once more, I'm begging you to smash the like button. I'm begging you to share this and subscribe and come back because I'm putting a lot of effort into this. But anyway, do you remember when masks weren't important, guys? Do you remember when I literally had not even thought about a mask ever in my life until March 2020. And then all of a sudden they're sold out worldwide. Every single person has heard of a mask. Every single person has worn a mask. It just became like an instant, global knowledge, right? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird how that happened? I think the same thing is happening for Bitcoin. I think that people are down on Bitcoin right now. They're like, Bitcoin's going to zero, yada, yada, yada. It only follows stocks, Well, it's kind of like the mask thing, right? No one was really too hyped up about masks either. But then all of a sudden, when you really needed one, when you really, really came down to brass tacks, what happened? The whole world got them, okay? That's the same thing that's about to happen here, guys. You're not really going to need Bitcoin. Bitcoin will always be this kind of volatile asset, right? Where it's where like it's just so stressful. I get it. Trust me, I've been on this ride. Like I told you, we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down. Are they going to print the money? Are they not going to print the money? I don't know. It's going to be like that until everything breaks. Okay, that's my point. It's going to look like that until it no longer looks like that, until it is what it was designed to be, which is the scarcest thing on the earth, and then it's going to look like that. Okay? So my question is, are you going to wait for it to hit $10,000 so you can buy more? Or are you going to understand that this is going to happen? They are going to devalue the United States dollar. They do not have a choice, which I have laid out in this video, I think very, very clearly. And the currency is the only way. They have to devalue it. So they can't raise rates past a certain rate, because I've just talked about that. It's happened before in history. It happens every single time. The only way out is to devalue the dollar. And so that's my last point, guys. It's when, not if, this happens. Bitcoin's going to 100K, it's going to 200K, it's going to a million, just like all the maximalists said it was. And the reason for that is because it's gold 2.0. It's on the internet. They're not making any more of it. And people are going to need it, not want it. When your dollar bill, you got to think about this, guys. When your dollar that you're holding in your hand is now worth 50 cents, you're going to have to put that somewhere. That is not acceptable for most people. So don't be the person that has your money sitting in PNC Bank or wherever the hell you have your money, and all of a sudden half of your purchasing power is gone, because it's not going to happen. It's going to happen quickly. They're not going to let everyone get on board. Okay, you'll wake up one morning and all of a sudden Bitcoin will be $100,000 because the whole system actually broke. And I promise you this is coming. I don't know when. I don't know where. All I know is that holding Bitcoin, holding my own keys to Bitcoin right now is the most logical decision I've ever made in my life. And I'm so excited about it. If you want to talk more about this, we have an NFT project. I don't care if you buy it. But we're working hard, man. We have a lot of cool stuff coming out. If you join the project, you can talk to me face to face. I'm in there every single day in Discord. And we're going to talk about how to make the most of this market. We're going to talk about how to actually, survive and thrive, because all the things that I've laid out here make me scared for most people that don't understand what Bitcoin is. People need to know this shit. People need a community to support them, because it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to hold through all of this insanity. Trust me, I know. I've been through the wars. Okay? So we're going to be in there together. We're going to be building it together. Click the links below if you're interested. But either way, come back and I'll be making more videos like this. Let me know if you like it. See you guys soon. Bye.